All right, we're live.
All right. Sheil and I would like to welcome you guys to an altered, from an altered perspective, or FAP. Yeah, I guess let's start off by everybody giving some introductions. Just somebody go.
All right, guys. I'm Chris. I served in the Army with Anthony. I'm not too familiar with anyone else, but me and Anthony have been good friends for probably a good 5, almost 10 years. So thank you guys for having me on. I'm probably the late addition here, so I appreciate you guys having me on. I guess you could say my background. I mean, I have a military background. I'm currently, I go to school at Strayer University. I'm going to graduate my bachelor's within the next year. So I was born and raised in the South in North Carolina, so I'm very familiar with, the area. I'm pretty familiar with the people down there. Charlotte's a pretty good city. All in all, I would just say that I would like to consider myself a pretty decent human being. I like to think of everyone as equals, and I like to treat people with kindness and respect. And I think that Anthony could probably vouch for that. So I just kind of, I think that, everyone has a unique perspective to bring. So that's why I'm interested in forums like this, because you don't know what it's like to walk in other people's shoes. So it's good to have open dialogues like this. So again, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope that I can contribute something to the conversation, maybe share something with you that you might not have known before you got here. And I'm looking forward to hearing the same kind of things from each of you. So thank you.
All right, welcome, Chris.
All right,
let's go next.
Monic?
Yo, good.
You ready? You want to just tell us a bit about yourself and, kind of give an introduction and kind of who you are as a person and stuff? Can you hear me?
Hey,
I actually don't.
Are you there?
Are you there?
He's there. Can you hear us?
Can we get a thumbs up if you can hear us?
Thumbs up?
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
All right, let's.
Are you calling us from a bomb shelter?
Right?
Can you hear us? Click.
I can hear y'all.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Are you gonna introduce yourself?
Oh, my turn. All right. Yeah. I was in the Army for 10 years. I worked on helicopters, and then I went infantry because infantry is life. No, I worked with Anthony. We were doing lifeguard. That was fun. But I'm in school right now, a double major, math and physics. And it's pretty open-ended, on-the-spot question. I mean, there's a lot I could say. I just don't know where to start. So I guess I'll just go as time goes by.
Okay.
All right, excellent. All right, so let's get right into it then. So the hot topic today is the Charlotte riots and the Black Lives Matter protests that happened there a few days ago. Jimmy, I believe in our last video, was saying that he lives right outside of Charlotte, and so he's basically been directly affected by everything that's been going on there. So, Jimmy, if you could give us a little more insight as to what is actually going on there, from as opposed to what we've seen on the media.
Okay, so I mean, you know how it happens. Before I start, I'm pretty sure none of you guys know me, but I worked with Shield for 6.5 years. Both deployed together multiple times, 2 times. Currently live in Concord, so right outside of Charlotte. So, as he said, I've been right in the midst of things, and as the media portrays it, yeah, there's a lot of things that is going wrong with the protests, and the issue with the protests that I see is that, as opposed to it being a protest the way it's supposed to be, there's a few who are taking this to another level. They're making something that could be positive and turning it into a media outlook. It's just based on the fact that they have the opportunity to show off, to turn things around, or to do something just because they feel like they've been directly affected. And that's one thing that really, I would say, how would I put it? It takes away from the whole outcome of the whole situation. So you might have 200 people out there who are protesting, who are doing the right thing, but then you have these 5 individuals who are committing crimes, and that takes this. Oh, sorry, just 1 second.
Hey, parenting happens, man. I understand. My son just
It's all
poked
good.
his head around the corner. He said, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm talking. I'm on a phone call. He's like, "Oh, you're on the computer. You're not on the phone."
Yeah, so when you have 5 individuals who are out there who, just because somebody across 5 states died and they're of the same racial ethnicity, they believe that they've been hurt in the same situation. So they start causing all these issues. They start causing uproars. But the way they don't understand is that this is going to take them further away from their cause than what they're trying to do. By breaking all these windows, by destroying things, what is this going to prove? This is going to prove that what they're doing is not helping the cause. As for example, I work where I work is right beside Charlotte, and my company just had some doors replaced. They weren't in, nothing happened to that company, but the people who were there were telling us how they had to replace over $25,000 worth of windows just for one company because of what some people did, because they destroyed their windows. And it's ridiculous because they don't realize how much they're affecting this company. What are you doing by making this company have to pay $25,000 worth of damages for something that they didn't cause? There's people there who are of the same ethnicity as you, but now they're not going to be able to work because the company is going to be closed down. So now you're directly affecting not only yourself, this Black Lives Matter, but you're affecting everybody, because if the company closes down for 3 days because they have to make these repairs, now everybody's affected. Everybody's losing. And it's not doing anything to bring about the cause that you're trying to bring about. And the only thing you're doing is causing more issues.
That's very insightful, and I agree. That's the standpoint that I'm at. I agree, with the movement itself. There needs to be some reformation in our justice system, so that innocent cops don't get away with killing anybody. It's not about race. It's about reformation of the justice system itself. These cops should have these body cameras on them. And the police unions that fight against those types of policies, well, why would you fight against that? Why would you fight against the oversight that comes with a camera that is strapped to your chest, while you're dealing with other people? It not only protects you as a police officer, it protects the perpetrator as well, if they are a perpetrator.
Not to interject, not to interrupt, but one thing that, as what you were saying about the body camera, one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of times something happens and then they say, oh, well, we couldn't get a clear footage because this specific police officer's body camera was off. Really? Like, that makes no sense whatsoever.
It's almost like they pick and choose. And just to, I want to get in on this a little bit. I know probably everybody is anxious to, but I was watching another video the other day, and these police officers, you know, they know that they're recording everything that they're doing. I mean, when they're on the street, they know that they're recording. And I mean, now you have to watch against the police that are turning the cameras off. I just saw a video the other day where the cops were in the car after it was an unlawful stop, and you know, the guy threatened him with a lawyer and some other things because he was a known, they had some legal issues with him in the past with this specific sheriff's department. The guy did a lot of research on the corruption that they were doing in that town for this rodeo. And by any means, I mean, my mom works for the police office. She has for a long time. I'm not against cops, but these cops are turning the cameras off, committing, you know, their acts, and then turning it back on like it just didn't happen. So not only do we have to, you know, make sure that these cops have these cameras on, which I'm not opposed to, and I don't know anybody that would really oppose transparency to that degree when we expect it in so many different areas of our lives. We want to know what happens when our children are at daycare. We want to know what happens, you know, in the police cruiser. We want to know everything in our government. We want to know what they're doing. So, I mean, why, you know, the basic having a camera on the police officer, you know, I don't oppose that. I think it would be a good idea. We just got to make sure that we're using the technology in the right way and understand that no matter what, corrupt people, they're going to be corrupt. If you know what I mean, you can make a law, you can make things, you can do things, but you know, just like the 5 bad apples that we were talking about earlier, somebody is going to find a way to do what they're going to do. And the importance of this dialogue, I think, would be, you know, good at addressing certain things like the body cameras and stuff. But, you know, we have to change our mindset. We have to change the way we think about what's going on, because people that think about turning the camera off to specifically do harm and then, you know, turn it back on, that's what we have to change. It's that mindset.
Glick, have you got any input on this?
To me, it's not. I think a lot of people are overanalyzing the riots, and that's they are. Aside from the actual peaceful protest, which there are a few, such as the man who sat down in a chair and put headphones in and just sat there for hours. But the riots, you know, going back to Ferguson and Baltimore, they're not protesting, they're not rioting because of what happened. The community is coming together and saying, hey, these bad things are happening, so we want to gather. Now, when they gather, the police back off because the target is the police, right? The police are the ones that are under fire from these groups. That reduces the amount of law enforcement that they're going to impose on a large group of people. Now, a large group of people together is called the herd or the group think, herd mentality. So you have a bunch of these kids, most of them are kids, 15, 18 years old, that are in these riots. They feel that since there are so many of them and the cops are moving away, that they can do whatever they want and they can just act stupid. I don't think the majority of these rioters are rioting for any sort of purpose other than to go out and be stupid and just appeal to their baser primal desires. You can look at it in any situation where there is no law enforcement in a closed group and you have the group able to do whatever they want. And that goes from the smallest group, such as, a gang of 5 people, or in this instance, a friend of mine yesterday got jumped by a gang of 10 people at a gas station about 2 o'clock in the morning, stole his car, dragged him out, stole his car. The gas station, middle of the night, there's no cops around. People are going to do whatever they want because there is nothing to enforce it, to enforce morally right decisions. Now, when you scale that up larger, you can go all the way up to countries with dictators. A dictator such as Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il back when I was in Korea, they don't have anybody to police them. They don't have any kind of enforcement on them because their enforcement is on their people. Their people are the only things that can rise up against the government. But if the people are oppressed or the enforcement is oppressed, then the people who are in power can do whatever they want. So you'll see the same thing in a group of people. When there is no enforcement of what is socially acceptable, then they'll come up and create their own socially acceptable norms, which may very well oppose the overall social acceptable norms. And that's what I think is the majority of the riots that are going on in all of these places that pop up.
Very interesting perspective on that. I mean, I could see it. Like the basic overall message gets lost within the actions of the group. You know, the few bad apples, I guess, spoils the bunch when it comes to this, because that's what we're seeing happening. It's not just a few, 1 or 2 people who are rioting. You know, it's the mass of the demonstration. So yeah, it's like you can't necessarily blame a few bad apples when it's the majority of the people that are, you know, committing the heinous acts. You know, so
we have to think about the effect of the media on all of this too, because I will tell you that psychological operations is a thing. It really is, and the media. I live here in Baltimore. I live north of Baltimore. CNN, when the riots were going on, CNN made it seem like Baltimore was on fire. Like the entire city of Baltimore was on fire. Okay, that's what it looked like. It looked like a damn war zone. But when you actually go down to Baltimore and you ride around the areas that were, the main concentrated areas of protesting and violence and stuff, it's not that big. It wasn't a big area. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it just made it look like, it was a freaking war zone. So I'm not denying, that there's a lot of stuff going on, but we have to think about how the media shapes our perspective on what's going on. And we have to be able to understand that, what we see is not always what is actually happening. And, furthermore, the people that are protesting, the people that are responding, to these police brutalities or whatever you want to call them, if that's what we're going to go with, I mean, they have a right to be angry. I mean, you know what I mean? And sometimes when you're from Baltimore and you look on CNN and your entire city is engulfed in flames and people, throwing stuff around, it really, makes you angry. When you're when you're a cop and you see cops on TV getting killed, it invokes, a certain emotion out of you. Then sometimes, I think, I just don't understand why certain things are portrayed the way that they are, because it's almost like they are designed to make you angry. They're put there to make you angry, And I'll just say that if a cop kills someone on television, okay, or if a cop kills someone, it is on every news channel for 18 hours until a cop kills another person. You know what I mean? Like, there is an entire world going on, around you, but CNN makes it seem like the only thing going on is Baltimore's on fire and that you need to stop and fix it now.
Well, and see, there's a great Richard Dawkins, who is responsible for the creation of the meme. But it's a great lesson in how we spread our information, okay? And you can take a picture and put some words on it and spread a message that way. And sometimes that message can be misconstrued and it can be changed. And that was the purpose of the meme. It goes to show not only the fact that there can be evil things in this world. I mean, there's bad memes out there that we don't want to see, that we think are inappropriate, you know, and that's that represents the evil people and the evil things that we see, you know. But the biggest problem that we have right now is the media is taking those evil things that are happening, however small and, you know, however big, they're blowing it up to even bigger proportions, and they're blowing it far out of the proportions that they need to be, you know, because we are focused on being a negative society, on being a strictly, like, we live for negativity as humans, and that's a big problem. We need to step away from that and look at what the media is doing and tell them to stop and actually give us the real news, and stop, one, being so biased, and that they need to check their information and before they go and spout it to millions of people who watch the news. You know, it's a very, very massive problem. And like I said, Richard Dawkins did the perfect experiment to show that that is something that we need to change. That we need to change the way that we think, the way that we spread our information, and how we fact check the things that we see. Because regardless, you know, even the people, you know, you could even say back in the day, you know, whenever, like, we'll say 1700s, you know, people really didn't have that great of a way to spread information. It was mainly by posts that were made in the town square, you know, usually by somebody of a who's in command, usually, who is the leader. And that's how they got their information. So that's how they were able to so easily turn people against one another, whether, you know, that person in the next town is your brother, you're going to still go over there and rape that and pillage that town because of what this leader said. And it's the same thing that's happening today. It's the exact same thing. I mean, if you look at if you look at the cause of World War II, you know, it was a bunch of rumors and gossiping and bullshit until Franz Ferdinand got killed. And my battery's about to die. I'll see you guys in a minute.
All right, Jimmy, you had some input you wanted to add?
Yeah, so what I want to add about the previous conversation before Kick joined in, what he was talking about groups. What you said, I really like what you said, because that's the problem with society, is that everything is put into groups. You got police officers who are just people who have a specific job, but they're not looked at like that. They're looked at, oh, they're police officers and nothing else. Military, we're all veterans. They look at, oh, these guys are veterans. I mean, yes, but before we were veterans, you know, we were here as well. Everybody is grouped into a certain agenda, and that's the problem. But we all started as the same. We all had the same bases, and the problem with that is a lot of people don't realize it's the person that's corrupt. For instance, what we were talking about earlier, if I, for example, was a racist person, if I decided to become a cop with my end goal to be to every white person or every Asian, that I'm going to give them a ticket, I'm going to harass them, realistically, because of the way the system is right now, who would be able to stop me? Nobody, because there's not enough oversight. I mean, this is like he was saying earlier about these cameras being turned off. Why do they even have the option to turn the camera off? That it really shouldn't. It shouldn't even. There shouldn't be a button on there at all. It should be a system created with all the technology that we have. It should be somebody sitting somewhere who only that person has the authority to turn the camera off. And if they turn a camera off, it has to be every single camera off. Nobody should have the right to turn off one system as opposed to the next person who can't turn it off, or who legally knows I shouldn't turn this off. That's the problem that we have at the moment.
When you think about things on a grand scale, and I hate to keep harping on the media aspect of this, but I say this to my wife all the time. You can't get 5 people together and find out what restaurant you're going to go to. You know what I mean? How in the hell are we going to get millions and millions and millions of people to agree on one thing? And it's because, okay, my uncle, who's a diehard Democrat, I love him to death. He's a diehard Democrat, but he came to my house, this weekend, and he watches CNN News, and he came here, and he's very opinionated, and he started telling me how we need to get all the guns off the street and all this other stuff, and I could just tell that he's been watching CNN News. Like, you can tell, because he's regurgitating this stuff. And what it is just like you're talking about it, is groups. That's Jimmy is your name, right, Jimmy? Okay, Jimmy was talking about the groups. I mean, that's what we're talking about here, is the media, I think, assists us in putting people in groups, because everybody goes home, they sit on their couch, and they turn the tube on, and they don't leave until they go to bed. And what are they doing? They're just getting hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered with things on their psyche, and they don't even understand how it's affecting them. And next thing you know, you hate people, and you don't even know why. You're just running around and you're being hateful for no damn reason. And that's why Secular Talk has 500,000 subscribers, is because nobody trusts CNN anymore. Nobody trusts Fox News anymore. There's a small population of guys that are doing exactly what we're doing, and they're going out and they're finding the truth, and they're finding what's helping the neighbors, and they're finding what's going to contribute positively to society. And unfortunately, I've lost a lot of confidence in our government, to assist us in that journey, because, our police on the streets in Baltimore and Charlotte, I mean, just like our soldiers, their lives are in danger. Okay, the gangs on the streets, the people on the streets are not running around with handguns anymore. They have automatic weapons, and they're killing people, and there are people dying on the streets. But I mean, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, guys. All
right, so first thing I would like to cover is automatic weapons. Having built and owned many weapons and am a collector of antiques, automatic weapons and assault-style weapons are 2 different things. Automatic weapons, you pull the trigger, it keeps shooting until you let go of the trigger. Those are not on the streets by any means. Those are some of the most heavily regulated weapons for civilian ownership in the United States.
Are you saying there's no automatic weapons on the street? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just saying, is that what you're saying, that there's no automatic weapons on the street?
I'm not saying there aren't any. Some can be readily modified to be fully automatic.
Yeah, because you can buy the lower receiver and upper receiver of an M4 on the black web, and it can be delivered to your door, and nobody will ever know about it. They're buying automatic weapons on the dark web daily by the tons. Okay, they're by the tons.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've checked Tor's black market for firearms, and if they're willing to spend that much money on an automatic weapon, which is about the same as doing it legally, then and risk actually not getting that weapon, just wasting that money, that's on them. And there is a black market trade for that. But as far as going, like, breaking into somebody's house and stealing their gun safe, you have about the same chance of winning the lottery as you do finding an automatic weapon in somebody's safe.
I mean, I'll just have to kindly disagree with that. I mean, we'll check. We can fact check it, but I mean,
Yeah,
I do think that there are a lot of automatic weapons on the street. And my whole point on that is that, automatic weapons, yeah, they shouldn't be in circulation. But if the federal government says there's no automatic weapons in the United States, a felon doesn't care about that. He will buy a lower receiver and an upper receiver differently. He'll make an automatic weapon, or he will go to whatever country he needs to get it, and he'll bring it back and he will cause damage. I mean, and it doesn't matter. I mean, if you ban an automatic weapon, he'll go get a grenade. He'll make a bomb. So you're not going to just take things off the streets. You're not just going to get rid of things and stop criminals, because the criminal doesn't care about your law. It doesn't care about your regulation. All it's doing is making it more difficult for me, who is a law-abiding citizen, to go to the store and get what I need if I feel like I need it.
Yeah, I'll agree, and I think we are getting a little bit off track. I can go into.
Let's get to that video that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I have a video here which CNN is starting to blast everywhere about the one of the cops supposedly planting the gun on the body of Keith. Now, let me see if I can get this screen share going here. Screen share.
Sorry about getting off the topic, guys. I mean, this is a pretty, broad. We got a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's fine. This
so.
topic has so many tendrils and other subtopics, so we could take a tangent off to basically anywhere. So.
All right, I've got the video right here, and I'm gonna play it for you. Let me know if everybody's got it up.
Yeah, we should present.
Yeah, I'm good. I can see it.
All right, I can see it on my side right here. All right, so this is the video here. All right. All right. So now, back to this particular point right there. Maybe a little bit farther back. They're jumping all over this, saying they planted the guns. But the official report is those were gloves. Now, I don't know if I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen guns and are assuming that they're made of metal and plastic and they're not flexible. That is folding. Those are folding. Those are quite evident that those are gloves.
Yeah, those are gloves.
Now,
there's two of them. They're the same.
Yep. CNN is definitely reporting on that as the oh no, what have I done?
Oh God.
Oh, how do I fix this?
I got it.
Oh, you fixed it? Okay, good. All right. So
if you share the screen and then you click on your own screen, you're sharing it with yourself, so it's gonna create that mirror effect.
I've divided by 0. Okay.
Oh God. The universe is collapsing.
Yeah, but so how many people are running around right now saying those cops planted? How many people are running around?
How many likes and shares did that video have?
Exactly.
Oh,
well, that can give us a starting place.
It had 4.1 million views.
Jesus.
Yeah, but how many likes and shares? And we could also look at the comments would be a mixture of the two, of course, but
yeah,
regardless,
I'm sure it has millions of shares. I mean, if you include YouTube and the other streaming sources, the Facebook.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how many it had from there. Could you pull that up quick?
Yeah, I can bring it back up.
Which video are you guys talking about?
The one that he just showed.
I wasn't able to see it.
Oh, well, okay. So
back.
it's like a 5-second clip of one of the officers supposedly planting a gun on a suspect when it was literally just gloves. Like, you could see it was gloves. They were folding.
Oh, just a second.
Yeah, it's at 1.3 thousand comments.
Yeah, but
13. Yeah.
how many likes and shares?
10K likes and 120.5 thousand shares.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
God.
Wow.
See, that's the measure of disinformation. But of course, we can't say that only the people who only shared it were the ones who were saying, "Oh, look at this! You know, it's evidence, it's proof enough," when it's really not. You know, of course, you know, there's going to be people saying like, "Oh, it's logical. Look, you see the glove bend, you know, in air. You know, guns don't do that."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I saw that video. I don't know if it was the gloves, but I saw him doing something else as far as from his body to the guy's body. But I mean, realistically, I couldn't see anything. You can't really tell from the angle that they have it at. So I mean, anybody can say anything. The point of it is, as you were saying earlier, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, Chris.
Yeah, Chris,
Yeah,
man.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, a lot of times the reason why the media does this, and from what everybody's done, is because is money. That's a majority of the problem with everything. It's everything is run on money. So as far as so you know, oh, we have this story about this guy who just saved a child, but then we have the story about this guy that just killed 10 people. We're gonna play this because a lot or more people are more likely to watch this guy wanting to kill 10 people. You know, but should it really be like that? I don't really believe it should be like that, because I mean that draws violence into people's houses. I mean, you have kids who are sitting there watching TV, and these adults are allowing this to happen. I mean, as I have kids, I'm not gonna sit there and put a channel on. As far as that's why in this house I don't even play the news.
You can't.
Because everything is about, it's either murder or, you know, something that's corrupt or something that's going wrong. What about all the good? And when they show that something good is something ridiculously minimal, I mean, they'll have an hour of all these corrupt individuals about these murders, and then they'll show this video about a dog who can talk. I mean, it's what? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. How would you emphasize what we are based on what you're shown on TV with all these negative aspects, and then showing something as, you know, as ridiculous as some dog who can do a certain spectacular act, or something that's not meaningful whatsoever, that you watch it and you're like, why is this even on TV? Why is this being, you know, I could have went on YouTube and wasted my life with something else as opposed to watching this. And that's the problem with the media. And a lot of people follow it, as you were saying earlier, and then they take that and they believe it. Like if you're saying your uncle, so he's like, oh man, the world is going to hell because all these people. No, there's just as many good things happening in the world, but the problem is that they're not broadcasted because nobody wants to see it, because everybody wants to have that negative aspect. Everybody wants to see people getting hurt, people getting shot. Why are
we feed off of negativity? Because negativity feeds our passion, because it's such bad things are bad for a reason, and they have a huge impact on the human psyche. That's why we're attracted to bad things, because, you know, especially stories about bad things. We are naturally attracted to that stuff, but we are attracted to it from the standpoint of we don't want those bad things to happen, so we need to stop those bad things. And that's, I think, what kind of what people are missing.
Yeah.
You know, that they need to, instead of creating more bad things because of one bad thing, you need to say, hey, let's stop all these fucking bad things from going on right now. Everybody needs to chill out and actually sit down and have discussions and conversations about things, and stop leaning on our baser instincts. And, you know, it's not going to get us anywhere. You know, we're at a point in our society where we need to rise above our baser instincts, and we need to start thinking about humanity as a whole and how we are going to further our lives and make our lives better. And you know, we know there's certain things that don't work, like the Crusades. That doesn't work. That doesn't help humanity. You know, or you know, Hitler's plan. That doesn't work. That doesn't help humanity. You know, there's certain things that we know are that don't work. You know, and it's just that people get sucked into these ideas because you have a charismatic leader, you have somebody who presents it in a certain way, and makes it sound all goody and whatnot. But really, we need to look at things objectively as a whole and say, wait a second, you want to kill all these people for what reason? Because they don't follow your certain dogmatic way of thinking? Well, then no, I'm not going to do that. And that's what we need. That's where we need to draw the line. We need to stop being sheep, and we need to start thinking for ourselves as humanity.
Hey, I think Click has something to add.
Yeah. As far as morality goes and people's tendencies to want to do good, I want to reference somebody called John Locke. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Philosopher,
John Locke.
great man.
Yeah, exactly. He wrote the basic foundation of our U.S. Constitution as it is back in the 1680s. He talks about something called the law of nature. And the law of nature is that all people are inherently good. Now, if they need something, they have by the law of nature, they should go out and get it. Now, if somebody else has something more than they need, then that's a violation of the law of nature. So the person who has less should feel obligated not only morally, but legally to go out and get that if they need it. The example was if somebody was to have too much fruit, then they could eat or use before it's spoiled. Well, the person who had all that fruit, who picked it from his trees, that would be a violation of the law of nature. And that the person who had none should, by the law of nature, go and take that fruit from him to provide for himself and his family. And I think that actually rings true more than just in a philosophy standpoint. And you look at the rioters going and taking stuff. From their perspective, they're looking at these businesses and these shop owners that have all of this stuff that's more than they need. And the people who are doing the rioting may not have all of these nice things, which might not be a necessity to survival, but it's something that they want at a level of a need. Like a TV, they might have an old CRT, 12-inch TV or something like that, and they want to go get a big 32-inch from the electronics store, right? The electronics store has hundreds of these things. So it might be from their perspective more subconscious than anything that business has more than they need and they don't have any. So by the law of nature, according to John Locke, they are within their own personal and moral rights to go and take that. So the rioters themselves are not seeing themselves as doing anything bad.
That's a very interesting perspective, and one I haven't even really heard that perspective on it. I don't really know what I can add to that. Because
I do have an addition.
does anybody have anything to add to that? Well, okay, I'll say something. Okay, so just because it's subconsciously the law of nature and this and that, that does not justify the situation, and I know you're not trying to say that it is justified, in any sense, but we have control over ourselves. We're no longer primal animals who patrol the plains, hunting and gathering. We're civilized, and we have a brain and that we use that's actually pretty damn powerful, to the extent to where people can decide, hey, should I go and loot this store or should I not go and loot this store? And they make it up in their head, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to loot that store, and that's pretty fucked. Why would you do that? I don't think they look at the repercussions. You know, like they can't. There's no way that they see the repercussions, because if they did, then they would not perform that act.
Yeah, they definitely aren't. Scared.
And since they don't see the repercussions, they don't realize that they're only perpetuating the same place that they're at. You know, like they're going to stay in the same place so long as they keep doing things like this. They're not helping out their cause at all.
It's again like this. It goes back to what I was talking about with Richard Dawkins and the spread of information. It's we have to start informing people to do better things. Like, we need to get away from all this negativity that the media is trying to portray, and we need to say, listen, we need to start being a peaceful society. We need to start doing what we can to make things better for people. And if that means that we adopt certain socialistic policies politically, or, you know, we take bits and pieces from whatever works, if we take the good parts of everything, I think we'll be doing pretty fucking good, honestly. You know? Because even in, you know, the atheist community, we need to do better in our spread of information. You know? There's some pretty backwards type atheists out there and who, you know, just need to review the way that they think about things. You know?
I was going to say, I have one last thing to say before I have to go, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, based on just the whole perpetual, the whole conversation, a lot of things that I've noticed overall is that a lot of people, they tend to be, you know, Facebook protesters, you know, YouTube protesters. As far as, I really like what Anthony, how he went there when he asked about how many shares and how many likes, because you have all these individuals who will like things, who will share things, but as far as internally, they don't do anything about it. They'll sit on their butts and they'll click like 1,000 times. They'll share it 1,000,000 times. But as far as to actually listen to what is being said, to watch what is being shown, to actually use their senses for more than they're actually, you know, supposed to be used for, that is the problem. You know, if I sit here and I say, oh, Black Lives Matter, it's a really important thing, you know, but all I do is I sit here and say, click, 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 I like, you know, I don't like this, I don't like this. Where am I ever going to go? Where am I ever going to get to? I'm not really influencing anybody. I'm not doing anything as far as putting the word out there. And that's one thing that I want more people to understand, that just because you like something, just because you share something, doesn't make it meaningful. It just makes it so that you're a slight part of it. But more people are doing that just so that they can be a part of it, just so they can maybe get their 5 minutes of fame in there, and people, oh, he liked it. Oh, you know, he shared it. But people need to understand that it needs to be more than that.
All right, Chris, I believe Chris has something to say.
Yeah, I know Jimmy has to go. I'll just make it really quick. So I just wanted to make a comment on the click, 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 and the likes and things like that. I mean, I agree. I agree with you, Jimmy, wholeheartedly. I mean, a lot of people, it's so much easier for them to sit back and just hit click and click and click, and they think they're doing something. But I mean, in some ways, that's it's almost what you have to resort to, because I mean, you know, how else does anything get done? I mean, if you go and protest, you know what I'm saying, then you have a chance. I mean, I don't see protesting as working particularly well these days, because it's gotten people's mind on the issues, but, you know, it's overshadowed by the violence. So it's counterproductive. I mean, a lot of people, you know, feel like the only thing they can, you know, they feel helpless. They feel helpless. Like, I mean, what can you really do to change? I mean, and first and foremost, you have to I think you have to be the change you want to see, and everybody knows that. I mean, but I would just say that I really think that a lot of that is just due to people just feel helpless, man. They don't feel like they can change anything, for one. And for two, it's just, we have false idols. We have people that are built up in the media that are supposed to be these knowledgeable, good people, these news companies and agencies and things like that. They're supposed to be looking out for us, and they don't. Our idols, they don't look out for us. Everybody thinks the NFL players are great and all this other stuff. We need to be looking at different people, as our idols. We need to be looking at different places for our information and things like that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. One last thing is, I don't know if you guys ever heard Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well,
Yeah, so he's definitely in. Yeah, so a lot of things that he posts on there. One time he had a speech, and he actually talked about something similar to what Chris says. Why is it that we look at NFL stars and basketball, stars as in such an influential way when we have these, these scientists, these philosophers, these great people who are doing meaningful things, the discovery of so many things, and they're out there, but nobody wants to learn about it. But then you can go up to this person and, they can tell you verbatim what LeBron James has done for the last 15 years, what, Michael Jordan's career stats are, but you ask them about philosophy, you ask them about science, you ask them, hey, personally, I love astronomy. You ask them, hey, did you hear what, the new creations, the new things that we discovered? And they're like, oh, I don't know. It makes no sense whatsoever why people are like this, why they have these false idols, as opposed to having these real people who are actually having a meaning, doing so many things that is meaningful to us, and they're not even looked at. These are the real celebrities. These are the people that are actually making a difference, because it's like most people don't know who invented the web. Most people don't know who created the cell phone, who the first person who created the phone. But then everybody wants to use it. Everybody wants to have the newest technology. Can you tell me who created this? Oh, I don't know, but I like it. I use it every day. It makes no sense whatsoever.
That's an excellent point, honestly. People need to start looking. They have. I believe the main problem is they're too obsessed with their own lives to really care. And we need to start showing people that they need to care about what's going on, and they need to care about these issues because they are very, very important to the way that we live our lives daily. The fact that you have Nikola Tesla, who was a genius, absolutely a freaking genius. And so much of his technology has been stifled and kept away from us and locked away. And not because he wanted it that way, but because the people who we've got in power now want us to live in some sort of poverty. They have to have some sort of way to control us. We're all slaves to the grind, per se. And it's really true. We're wage slaves now. We live off of our wages, and half the time that doesn't pay the bills. That doesn't get you to your next meal.
That's a good topic, Kip. If you want, we can talk about that when we get back from the break. Be back in about 5 minutes. All right, guys.
Thanks. Are you guys breaking in place?
Are you gonna go off air? Or?
No, we're still on.
Yeah, so we're just going to step away for a second.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna go smoke, man.
All right. Yep.
Yep.
Me too. What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
So Mr. Anthony Xander, he sees you on here and he's freaking out. So we wave at him if you don't mind. Xander, look, Mr. Anthony's waving at you. He said hi.
Hi.
Hey, buddy.
He said hi. Okay.
Hi.
I'll be done in just a minute.
All
Hey, who's your friend, Demonic Void?
Oh, his name's Glick.
Is Glick?
Yeah, Glick.
Okay. Yeah, so I was I was gonna talk to him when he gets back. I was just gonna let him know that I wasn't gonna get crazy about the automatic weapons.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people have told me that I have a demeaning tone sometimes, and I really try not to. You know what I mean? I just
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean.
Okay, man.
This is awesome, man. It's good to get people together to talk about this shit, man.
Talk about the issues that matter, right?
You have to, man. So, I mean, the first hour was supposed to be for Black Lives Matter. Is that right?
I was just going with it as, we went, so.
Right, because I didn't say one thing about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I was talking about cops and automatic weapons and all this other
Well,
stuff.
that's a tangent from Black Lives Matter. So.
Oh, yeah. As far as the actual movement goes, though, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it should be called Black Lives Matter. I don't think it should be called that. Like, I feel like that's a little bit demeaning in itself, for a movement to be called Black Lives Matter.
I mean, I get the movement, just the way they're going about trying to spread the message, and trying to fix the situation. Yeah, it's just not good.
Yeah, and especially crazy to me, man, because it's not like everybody already doesn't agree that there's legitimate problems. So why is it so hard to, this is the easiest movement in the world to do, because everybody agrees that we need criminal justice reform. Everybody agrees that we need more help in the black communities. Everybody believes this. This is not something that people don't believe. We want better schools in the black community. We want better trained officers in the black communities. But, we want them in the white communities too. We want better schools in the white communities. We want one community. I want a community with black people. I want a community with white people.
We shouldn't be, saying like, oh, the black community or the white community. It's like, it's the community,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the community. The community is what we're talking about here.
And when you're willing to go out and kill, regardless of how far away you live from somebody, you still live within that community. And if you're willing to go and kill people in your community for no reason, then yeah, those people should be sent to prison of some sort. Or honestly, I believe that those people should be sent to mental institutions. I believe that they should be mentally reformed, because I believe that's the only way that we get past the crime bullshit, is to show people it's not okay to be like this. It's not okay to harm people. It's not okay to kill people. You know, we see time and time again that the mental health that we have now works. And granted, it may not work in every case, but that's why we continue to work on those people. We try to find out what works. Like with Manson. I mean, yeah, he's still pretty crazy. But we know that it's a safe place to keep him. He's not going to hurt anybody in there, and he's not going to hurt himself, and we're not going to hurt him, because we regardless of the crimes that he committed, we still have no place to kill anybody. You know, I believe it's our job as humans to reform those people and show them the error of their ways, and why they're wrong. You know, and if they can't be helped, then we do keep them in a place where they're not going to hurt anybody or hurt themselves. You know, and have that be a civil life. Yes, you know, because every human deserves that, regardless of what you've done. You still deserve a civil life, and maybe that's a little hard on the families of those people. But again, we have to get over the fact that we just can't kill people. We have no place or right to do that, because then we're not any better than that person. In fact, it makes us worse, because we're committing a crime, murder, but we're trying to justify it. And I don't believe that's right. I don't believe that's the correct form of action that we need to take. You know, and like I said, it's hard on the families of the people that go through that stuff. I can understand that they want some form of justice, and they will get that. But we need to get over the fact that we just think that we can kill anybody we want to. You know, we need to work on helping those people and figuring out why those people do that and what causes that to happen. Because we see it time and time again, you know, we've got these people who go and investigate serial killers. You know, they go and talk to them, interview them, and ask them, why did you do this? What brought you to this decision? You know, and every single story is different. Every single killer has a different reason, a different motive for doing the acts that they've done. And all of them, I believe, can be reformed and can be taught the error ways. It's just all in how we do it.
Yeah, and the argument against that is always, you know, that we don't have enough money in the prison systems, and that we don't, as a country, we don't have enough money in our prison systems, and we don't have enough money in our police departments, and all this other stuff. And you know, I say to that argument is asinine, because you know we spend trillions and trillions of dollars on defense every year, and you know that is just. I mean, I'm a veteran. I love the military. You know what I mean? I love the military, but I mean, you don't have to do it that way. I mean, we spend so much money on the military. We spend $60 billion on an embassy in Iraq that's you know controlled by ISIS right now, probably. You know, and it's ridiculous. We need to invest those resources into our infrastructure. You have got to quit, you know, these campaigns all over the world. I mean, that is a political strategy. You know, and I don't understand why it doesn't resonate with more with people, because we had a presidential candidate that was talking that way, and you know, he was laughed off the stage, and I don't understand, you know, why. You know, I don't understand why.
Well, I mean, and that's just because people, like I said, they can't get over the fact that, you know, you can't just go out and kill anybody you want to. Like, regardless of if that person committed a crime or not, it's still immoral and wrong to kill somebody else. It just is. And people, and that's a hard fact that people have coming to terms with.
So, I mean, I think we've all established, you know, that we have some problems. I mean, I think we need to start, talking about some possible solutions here. I mean, more so than, I feel like I'm at a loss for words when it comes with the solutions, because you say protest and then people ruin that. And you say get on the internet, and start some forums. And, sometimes that's just not enough. I mean, I don't know what else to do except more education for people, and open discussion. And we have got to calm down our inner cities and our communities. We have to calm them down. They're just too angry. They're angry at everything.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just anger. They're justifiably angry. I can't say that they're not, but at the same time, again, we need to overcome our baser instincts. We need to try to further the discussion, like you said, and come up with solutions to these problems instead of just sitting here being like Trump or Hillary and saying, oh, well, we've got this problem and focusing on the negative. And none of them, neither of them have come up with any solutions to what they want to do. Trump says he wants to build a fucking wall. Well, that's not going to work.
All right, before we delve into that path, Glick, you wanted to argue what Chris said?
Yeah, with the it's wrong to kill anybody.
Okay, that's your.
Okay.
I can quote. I would like to quote John Locke again with his law of nature. He says that when somebody aggresses against you, that they put themselves in a state of war with you, such as they try to steal from you. If you are abiding by the law of nature and you have what you need to survive, nothing more, and somebody tries to take what you need to sustain your livelihood, they are putting themselves in a state of war with you. And you are, by the law of nature, have the right to defend yourself and your property with lethal force.
Absolutely. In that case, in the case of self-defense, I believe 100% that we should be able to do that, because that person, whoever the person is committing that transgression against you, obviously has no care for their life. Okay. So if we have these laws in place where yes, you can kill somebody if it's in the act of self-defense, and that person commits that transgression against you, then that's a well-deserved death.
Now he does go on to say that
I'm sorry.
if somebody acted against you, for example, stole something from you, but they are no longer stealing, like if you stepped away and somebody stole something from you and you came back and you realized it was missing, you do not have the right to go out and kill them. You must then appeal to your laws and your law enforcement and your judges to seek reparations from the item that was stolen from you or whatever transgression was placed against you. So you can only only defend yourself with lethal force during the act of a transgression against you.
I'm sorry, I have to say that I really think that John Locke is irrelevant, as are a lot of people from back in those days, because it's the same guy. It's the same group of guys like Thomas Jefferson who architected the freaking, excuse me, that's a retarded word. They wrote the Constitution and all this other stuff, did a bunch of great things. But when it boils down to it, these guys were slave owners. They did not believe that everyone was created equal. I don't know much about John Locke, but I will tell you that I don't think that his insight really holds weight in today's society. We are no longer live we no longer live like that. I mean, I think that he is a war. Like, you can't take, it's like Plato. You can't take his philosophy, and take it as ironclad, today. You can use it to help shape your opinions. I mean, you can use those things, and I'm not saying that you can't use John Locke, but we live in a different time. We live in a different time. We're living and dealing with things that no one has ever seen before. No one has ever seen what we're doing and what we're dealing with.
have changed.
You're actually incorrect with John Locke being a slave owner.
No, I said he was like the other ones. I said I didn't know much about John Locke. I don't know if he was a slave owner or not, but I know
John
that.
Locke was opposed to slavery.
Okay, well that's good.
He was opposed to slavery except in instances of conquest, such as a war between two people. Now, after a war between two people or organizations or groups or nations, the losing party must pay reparations in some way, because you can't go out and do something negative or positive without having consequences. So the consequences of losing the war is you must pay some kind of reparations for that. Now, if you don't have a nation left after the war, or you have your people, then it's fine, according to him, for those people to be entered into servitude to repent for the loss of the war, for the actions against the winning party. But as far as a man being forced by another man to go into slavery simply because he didn't have the means to defend himself, or like the African slaves that came to the U.S. In the 1700s, those are against John Locke's philosophy. He did not believe in that, because no man has the right to give his life. He has no right to take his life. That is a violation of the law of nature. And in that same sense, he cannot give that right which he doesn't have to somebody else to hold his life.
My point is I completely disagree with that, wholeheartedly, because, you can't say that you're against murder, but it's okay if you conquer a country to enslave their people. Like, to me, when you say that you can conquer, he lived back when you did conquer countries and take their shit. Like, we don't do that anymore. We don't take over Turkey and just say this shit's mine. Like, just like Donald Trump says that, we should go over there and take their oil. Like, you can't do that.
Not literally we don't do that, but we do it economically.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is the same people like John Locke that wrote our Constitution, those same kind of people and those same ideals, they say, yeah, we're all created equal, but I own slaves. John Locke says, oh yeah, you can't kill anybody because it's bad, but if we conquer Turkey, those dudes are ours. Their logic is flawed, and that's why I don't use them as a credible source for this type of argument, because we have to move past using what people did in the past to help us move forward, because these people didn't help us do anything. They created a flawed constitution, and it doesn't work. I think we need to move past this. You can't say, that.
But
if you don't learn from the past, you are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, we need to use the things that we need to use. Like I said before, the good things that come out of, like, what John Locke has said. I'm pretty sure that we can all agree that, you shouldn't kill unless it's in a form of self-defense. If you're defending yourself, then you have, but we should also have an escalation of force. Do you need to kill that person? Is that necessary to get away for you to live? Can you somehow disable that person, just like we have in the Army? There's escalation of force. And I think that's something that we, as the population, the civilian population, needs to realize, is that escalation of force is not just a military term. It should be a term for a lot of things. We need to actively use that. But I think that we should use the things that happened in the past in history, because there are some good things that happened. And the bad things, we don't necessarily ignore those. We deny that those are good things to do and that those are positive values to take in furthering humanity, but we learn from them. And that's what I think I want to stress, is that we learn from the past mistakes, and that we take the good with the bad, but we must learn about the bad. We must know that those things are bad, so that way they are not repeated again.
The reason why a lot of these things are so ingrained in our society as Americans, though, is because that's what our country was founded on. You know, I mean, our country, when Thomas Jefferson, he's been involved in duels before. They used to line up back to back, walk 12 paces, turn around, and kill each other. And that's my whole argument, is that we need to move past using what these people have given us. Yeah, they gave us a constitution, they gave us a framework, they gave us a country, great. We have to take that and do something way better with it, because if we don't, we're not going to make it. I mean, our country our country was founded by traitors. Our country was founded by people that betrayed their entire government to go and start a new one. And then not only did they betray their entire government and start a new one, they were slave owners that created a constitution that said everybody was equal. Like I said, we're better than that. We have to, John Locke, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, well, maybe not him, he was much later, but we have to get past this foundational philosophy of what we're doing, because our country is based on deceit and lies and violence. I mean, that's what our entire country is based on. And then we tell our youth to not be based on that. You know, I mean, we teach them history. We tell them, you know, to say the Pledge of Allegiance, right? They say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we teach them that their country was founded by people that betrayed their own government and then went to war with them twice.
Well, I can definitely see your point there. Like I said, you know, we should take the good things with the bad, and try to, you know, definitely move past the old thoughts, the ones that are not helping our society as it is today. We need to take the good thoughts that they had and apply that to a new form of rules, a new form of what we think is the proper steps to take in our society. You know, and it may not necessarily be something that we all agree on, and that'll never happen. But we need to agree for the most part that these are the things that need to happen for us to become better as a society. You know, we need to sit down and have a conversation, and majority rules. I mean, that's how our society, that works.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, but that's not necessarily how it is.
That's very true.
You know, especially in the political realm of things, which this is tapping into. You know, yeah, it's great that these conversations are being had. You know, and we do need to talk about stuff like this more, but we also need to be more proactive in, you know, making the solution happen. You know, actually talking to our representatives and getting them to do the things that we want them to do, you know, instead of them listening to corporations. You know, people need to get more politically involved. That way, you know, we can actually take back our country, because, you know, right now it's not a democracy. We have to see it, you know.
It starts with a message. It starts with a message, and it grows with numbers. I mean, and everybody that I've heard from tonight has a good message. I mean, so I want everyone to understand that. You know, I think everyone on here has a good message. I think everyone on here has a good perspective. And it's just about getting together and talking about it. But we need numbers. Like, you have to have numbers. It can't be 5 of us on a call. You know, I mean, we're doing the right thing. I mean, you guys, you know, you have a YouTube channel. People can view this later. They can weigh in on it with the comments and things. But, you know, you have to capitalize on that too. I mean, but I just want to say, I mean, I know that I get, you know, a little bit jumpy on this stuff. It's because I'm really passionate about it. But I truly respect everyone's opinion. You know, and I think everyone that has said anything to me tonight, you know, I've taken a great deal, you know, with it. And I'll say, you know, I really appreciate you guys just, you know, taking the time to listen to what I got to say, because I've learned a lot from you guys. I sure have.
Oh, and we the same with you. I mean, everybody's perspective is necessary for us to form a more perfect union. And not just talking about an American union, honestly, talking about a world union. I believe that's what we need to move towards. We need to move towards being united as humanity, and not this self. Nationalism is not the way to go. We see that with Nazi Germany. We know that that's not a good direction to follow. And it's great to have like sports teams and stuff after your countries. It builds morale in your countries. It's a way for us to battle, I guess, without being overtly violent, and you know it gives us a chance to get that primal instinct out. I guess. I believe that like sports and art and literature and science are the valleys that we need to pursue from now on, as a human race. I believe that those are the foundations for how we need to continue our lives. And there's a few other things in there as well. Not just, those are just a few.
I think that we all have to understand where being an American ends and being a citizen of the world begins, and we all have to understand where being white ends and being a person begins, and it starts with just treating everyone with dignity and respect, and we can all do that in our everyday lives. But we have to get away. I agree. I have to agree. I'm not white and I'm not black. I mean, I'm a person, and I'm not Chinese, and I'm not Russian. I'm not American. I'm a person of the world. I mean, we have to recognize that that's the type of esprit de corps that we need to be breeding. You want to have pride. You want to have pride in being American. Yeah, great. I mean, you can have pride in being American, but you need to have more pride in being a citizen of our planet and being a person that is united with everyone. We're all connected, and we're all connected psychologically, mentally, in our very, in our fields. I mean, we're all connected. We have to understand when being a color or nationality ends, and where just being a citizen of the planet begins.
I think that's something that we can all agree with right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you guys for the support on that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So we're gonna bring this call to an end. If anybody has any closing remarks, let's make them now.
I'll go first, man. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for letting me in on it. Like I said, I know I had some heated moments there. It's just because we're all passionate. I think you gotta be passionate about being here. We have one life to live. You've got 60 years to be on this planet if you're lucky and don't smoke. I mean, let's do something with it. Let's and I'm not talking about a movement. I'm not trying to overthrow a government. I'm not trying to create a freaking new world order. I mean, I'm just saying we're all here. Let's fucking get it, man. Let's do it. We got problems. Let's quit killing each other. Let's clean the freaking environment up. Let's walk to work if we can. You know what I mean? And make it right. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, dude, thanks for
joining us.
And I would like to say, as a response to his more or less, I see them as questions. That maybe a solution for that is just like we were talking about with instruction and teaching people the right way to be and the way of the world, and we need to teach people about reality. I think that's the most important part, is teaching people what is real and what is not, and I think that's the only way that we will achieve a much better way of living, honestly. So.
Agreed.
All right, Glick, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. I thought there's a lot going on, but
You sound like a robot.
There, buddy. Yeah, it's you're kind of breaking up.
Breaking up. Well,
This reminds me of the How I Met Your Mother episode with Barney. I'm sorry, I'm just getting nothing but robot noises. Click, I can't hear you, buddy.
Yeah, like I can't hear you either. You sound like a robot or something.
Yeah.
Are you a robot? I'm joking. All right, guys. Well, thanks for.
can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, as I was saying before, there's a lot that I could, cover. But in closing, I enjoyed being on here, and I have a paper that I wrote a couple of months ago on what the perfect soldier is, according to Plato and according to modern military. And I'll send you a copy of that, and if you want to check it out, and I don't know if you want to use that in another topic sometime.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. I'd like to read that.
Glick, I'm putting my email in the chat bar here. I'd love to have that, and I promise I won't use it for any of my own college purposes, man.
Yeah. All right. It's
Thank
got
you.
some anecdotal evidence or some anecdotal shit in there that I cut out because I didn't think it was relevant for a public audience. It was kind of a forced essay on me when I was in the Army, and it was a big fuck you to my command. So you take it for what it's worth, but
Yeah, I'm gonna love reading that. I'll tell you, I love reading it. Thanks, guys. I got to get off here. The wife's home.
All right, guys.
all right.
Thanks for joining in.
All right, thank you guys for
Appreciate it.
having me.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to From an Altered Perspective, and we hope to see you again. Goodbye.
Take it easy.